Good afternoon, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson. I'm glad you were able to join us today. Um, and so we could discuss some of the findings that we have with your daughter, uh, to discuss some of the issues that she may be encountering and see what we can do about getting her back on a somewhat productive and healthy lifestyle. Um, we've completed all the blood tests to rule out any um, drugs or any maybe deficiencies or thyroid issues. Um, and all those tests came back negative. So we kind of moved into our second set of findings. And I think just with the presence of some of the obsessions and compulsions, and the obsessions being just a reoccurring and persistent thoughts, like the urges and impulses that she's having, that she's experiencing at some time during the disturbances. They're intrusive and they're unwanted. And in most individuals, it's you can tell this by a mark and noticeable anxiety or distress. It's like some of the things that not only we've noticed, but you've noticed at home, and I think some of the teachers have also noticed. Um, and as we've seen, like she tries to or attempts to ignore some of these issues and urges or even images and try to neutralize them with some other action. And by that other action is where we kind of cross into that compulsion, which creates the repetitive behaviors that you're seeing, usually around the home. And those repetitive compulsions can be hand washing, like the ordering, the checking, or just the small mental acts of praying, counting, repeating words silently. Um, and I think she's feeling driven to perform these response in or these actions in response to an obsession or the feeling, the need to, and the urge to, and it's somewhat overwhelming. So, with that information, what we found is we believe that she may be um, suffering from OCD. And like I say, we've eliminated some of the other things just through the observation and the questionnaires and the information that we receive, not only from you all, but also the teachers and instructors that have come into contact with her and have had some interactions, have noticed somewhat the same things. Uh, so what we'd like to do is just take some time and discuss some of the options that we have for maybe some treatment options. First, there is psychotherapy, um, and that is, like I say, we do the things necessary to just sit down with her and discuss options for countering some of these urges and some of these behaviors that have somewhat taking over her day-to-day life and created that anxiety. And so, in doing so, I mean, we basically discuss options with her, and we actually take her through and we show her some of the training and some of the things that she can do to kind of on her own, also with some help from you all, to combat these compulsions, the repetitiveness, and the urges. Which in some situations, the repetitiveness, as long as it can be controlled and it does calm these urges, if it's small things that really don't affect their day-to-day life, some of those things could actually be beneficial. But what we're focusing on is changing the things that actually take her out of her activities for the day, such as the constant hand washing and things that could actually be detrimental. Uh, so what we're going to do is also we can look at the medical options, and some of the medical options we can actually treat. We can actually treat your symptoms and work towards a goal using a combination of both or either or. So a lot of it's going to be up to you and just how she reacts to the psychotherapy before we actually introduce any kind of medical treatment by introducing drugs into it. Some of the options that you're going to have with the actual medications, clomipramine, fluoxetine, and this is just a few, but we have paroxetina. And again, it's based on her age. What I'm going to suggest is the clomipramine, which is more suited for her actual age group. Okay. So, with that being said, if you have any questions of me, like I say, this is just the initial. It's going to be a process that we work through and just see kind of what works best, just to get her back to the normal range of and the fluidity of her lifestyle, and get the things kind of minimized so that she can be effective and get back to what she feels is a normal lifestyle. So I thank you for stopping by and seeing me before we can discuss this. And hopefully I'm looking forward to working with you in the future so that we can get Christine back into the flow of things. So if you have no other questions of me, this is going to conclude my session. And again, I want to thank you all, and good evening.